Check out. Check out.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we said tonight, every single match is something different. Every single match tells a story. We've got a lot to fit in this evening. And now, it's not only tag team time, but in a way, it's a revenge tag match. Let's meet the wrestlers. It's tag team time.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Aaron X. Welcome back to ASW South. Ascension 2 Level Up, our biggest ever show. And this is one big time tag team matchup in the making. Let me introduce to you the official debut of First Class. I say official, of course, because we've seen these two men in tag team action before, and they are looking to continue their indomitable and undefeated spirit here in ASW South. Look at the pair of handsome devils they are indeed. The Showcase, Connor Vista, and right behind him, yes indeed, not your average, Joe Dale. Two of the most exciting and charismatic prospects for the ASW South roster, and many people might argue that Joe Dale is indeed the breakout star of the ASW South Academy. He's in prime shape, he's in prime physical condition, and he is undefeated inside an ASW South main roster ring, baby. Yes, indeed. Of course, that is what leads us to this tag team matchup tonight. More on that in a moment.
Introducing team number one, ladies and gentlemen. They recently formed an alliance, and 2026 is going to be their year. Firstly, will you please welcome an all-star South wrestling favorite. He is no ordinary Joe. He is Joe Dale. And his tag partner, the Showcase, Connor Vista. And together, they are First Class. A big task ahead for First Class. Here comes the opposition.
Yes, indeed. Well, there's a hell of a story to this one, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about their opponent slash opponents this evening, because the Bruiser, Samuel Jacobs, is on his way to the ring. And if you saw Winter Wonder Slam 2 last time out here at ASW South, you would have seen the Bruiser clatter Joe Dale right across the skull with a steel chair. And that's what necessitates this tag team matchup this evening in a sold-out Godolphin in Salisbury. The Bruiser Samuel Jacobs. It was Connor Vista that night who came to the aid of his tag team partner Joe Dale, wanted to make it very clear that he was not going to stand there and allow Bruiser Jacobs to make an example out of Joe Dale at his behest. And of course, that is why we have this tag team matchup here tonight. But we don't know who Bruiser Jacobs' tag partner is. We're about to find out.
And presenting to you in the ring from Portsmouth, the one-man demolition squad, Bruiser Jacobs.
Bruiser Jacobs with a far from favourable atmosphere here, understandably so, with the way he's conducted himself since arriving in ASW South.
Well, 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 the time has come. Oh, shut your mouth, you little freak. See, I found myself a tag team partner. I looked up and down the country and I couldn't find someone big enough and I couldn't find someone bad enough. So I started looking around the world, and that's when I saw
No wonder Bruiser Jacobs was so confident coming out here, because my God, ladies and gentlemen, making his debut inside an ASW South ring, and somebody who is very well known to our friends over at All Star, the 6'7", 300+ pound monster, Mr. USA himself, Brody Steele, on his way to the ring. What at the size of this man. A veritable mass of destruction on its way to the ring. Bruiser Jacobs, by the way, is lethal enough. Lee Bamber referencing him as a one-man demolition squad, and with Brody Steele in his corner, I fail to see just how First Class are to overcome this.
Mr. USA, Brody Steele.
Yeah, well, Bruiser Jacobs understandably so very excited, and even Lee Bamber looks a little bit unsettled by the sheer presence of Brody Steele. Look at this man, just towering over everybody else. An absolute unit, ladies and gentlemen. A legit Leviathan in our sport, not to mention an extremely impressive time and experience factor when it comes to professional wrestling. Over 30 years, absolutely destroying all of the competition in pro wrestling. Well, Joe Dow obviously wanting to start this matchup out with Bruiser Jacobs, has a score to settle up, been clattered over the head with a steel chair. Joe Dow making it very clear what he thinks of Bruiser Jacobs, but there are far bigger things on the agenda right now, because Joe Dale is going to start this matchup for First Class as a tag team proper against Brody Steele, all 6'7", 300+ pounds. Look at the size of him. Roger Sears in charge of this tag team matchup. Collar and elbow tie up. Brody Steele not giving an inch and just tosses Joe Dale aside like a wanton piece of trash. Now, Bruiser Jacobs extremely happy with himself in the corner. Now, Brody Steele obviously not a big fan of English nationalism. And some people might argue that may very well be a good thing, but that's for another day. And well, the bottom line is, what we are big fans of is Joe Dow and his meteoric rise and the way he's done it. A real class act, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody carries themselves quite like Joe Dow. Even Connor Vista looking perturbed by what he's seen so far. But Joe Dow didn't get this far in professional wrestling by backing out of a fight as he gets a waist-lock control of Brody Steele, who, well, frankly, doesn't look perturbed in the slightest and backs Joe Dow into the ropes with ease. Just simple, effective, and Joe Dow with nowhere to go. Referee Roger Sears with a 5 count, of course, as they are against the ropes. Oh, well, Brody Steele with a cheap shot there, and he said he doesn't need to cheat, and, well, frankly, he doesn't. Look at the size of him, but yeah, he still felt the need to take a cheap shot. That's how little respect he has for Joe Dale, who ducks the clothesline, ducks the back elbow. Joe Dale looking to build up head of steam, shoulder tackle, and literally runs into the proverbial brick wall. And well, Joe Dale, this is what's going to get it done. Speed, agility, that's what he's got, because when it comes to size and power, Brody Steele has an advantage over quite literally every man in his dog in this country, frankly. Wrist lock applied by Joe Dale, looking for the basics. One straight right hand flattens Joe Dale. Knockout blow, yeah. What a surprise. Bruiser Jacobs is now very happy to get the tag now that Joe Dale is at his mercy. As if Bruiser Jacobs needs an advantage. As I've said so many times, as Joe Dale goes up and over, Bruiser Jacobs on the arm drag takedown, with Bruiser Jacobs getting all he can handle now, courtesy of First Class, as the showcase Connor Vista gets the tag. Kick to the midsection here. Man, if you haven't seen Connor Vista before, extremely impressive athlete in every sense. Lovely wrist lock sending Bruiser Jacobs inside out. Very smart there, shoulder tackling that joint, looking to knot up, maybe potentially hyperextend the joints of Bruiser Jacobs. Double Irish whip, double hip toss by First Class. Roger Sears, of course, having to remove Connor Vista from the ring first. always upholding the law, is the head official of ASW South, Roger Sears. Tag made once again, and Bruiser Jacobs getting what he can handle at the expense of first class. Escapes out the back door of the waistlock. Joe Dale holds on, and unfortunately Vin walks right into a drop kick, courtesy of Joe Dale and Connor Vista. A little bit of duality here. Lovely PK, and the elbow drop as well. And once again, Roger Sears obviously a little slow to the count there because he has to make sure that only one man is in the ring before he makes the count. First class perhaps showing a little bit of inexperience there. Lovely splash by Connor Vista, and I've had the pleasure of watching Connor Vista up close. I've seen his meteoric rise himself. A lot of people talking about Joe Dale, but rightfully so. Now a lot of people very excited about what Connor Vista could potentially be doing, particularly under the first class banners. Moves out of the way of Joe Dale. There was a cheap shot, I believe. Not sure if the camera picked that up, but Brody Steele with a cheap shot to Connor Vista, and now Bruiser Jacobs has the opportunity to begin the dissection, and nothing fancy about that straight right hand as he tags back in the monster Brody Steele. Just comes in on one simple kick. He makes the mediocre look magical, he does, in a vicious European uppercut. The irony of Mr. USA delivering a European uppercut to the jaw of Connor Vista is not lost on me, believe me. And Joe Dale trying to will Connor Vista back into this fight. Things getting real ugly real quick for first class, and particularly the showcase Connor Vista gets turned upside down, inside out, and you saw his neck, the whiplash effect off of that middle turnbuckle. And then once again, ladies and gentlemen, a cheap shot by Brody Steele, and understandably so. Joe Dale is incensed. Why wouldn't he be? And now, oh yeah, what a surprise. No legal tag, by the way. Shock horror. Well, Bruiser Jacobs did make a legal tag, but I guess Roger Sears, of course, is going to let that one slide. Unfortunately, can't call what he doesn't see. Technically, it means he shouldn't really be calling a tag, but well, bottom line is he's been hoodwinked by Bruiser Jacobs, and he's certainly not the first. He sure as hell won't be the last as Bruiser Jacobs delivers a vicious shoulder tackle. And you know what's coming up next. Cannonball! Right in the corner by the Bruiser himself. Bruiser Jacobs just knocked the life out of Connor Vista and gets a very late 2 count for his troubles. Roger Sears was right there. Connor Vista answered the call, but my God, that cannonball was violent as Connor Vista is dumped to the outside by Bruiser Jacobs, and I don't think it's an accident as to where he's been put. Now, Bruiser Jacobs just goading Joe Dale into the ring, and I spoke about that lack of experience, and it really is coming into play here. I understand Joe Dale extremely frustrated as Connor Vista is sent into the ring post. That Joe Dale has got to know better. He's got to understand Connor Vista is completely at the mercy of this vicious tag team of Bruiser Jacobs and Brody Steele. And unsurprisingly, Joe Dale, world-class human being, world-class friend, trying to will Connor Vista back into the fight. Goes for a lovely sunset flip, gets it as well, and almost got himself a free count out of absolutely nowhere. And Bruiser Jacobs looking to cut the showcase off, and does so with a vicious forearm to the spine. Brody Steele wants back into the fight. Certainly wants to pick apart the bones of Connor Vista, and one straight right hand to the stomach is enough to crumple the showcase. The first class certainly have impressed in their proper debut of sorts. But the bottom line is that Brody Steele and Bruiser Jacobs have employed perfect dirty tactics, not to mention mind games, to gain full control of this matchup. And the fact that Brody Steele is able to just methodically dissect someone like Connor Vista, especially in the latter years of his professional wrestling career, well, it beggars belief. But Brody Steele obviously has found the fountain of youth to his liking, and look at that, just blocked him out of midair. My God, 220 pounds, blocked out of midair, sidewalk slam, gets a 2 count, almost a 3 count, and Joe Dale with a shot to Brody Steele, and Brody Steele didn't even flinch, barely even registered the fact that Joe Dale had taken a shot there. I think like I said, the lack of experience, the emotion is really starting to boil over here. for Joe Dale, and Connor Vista trapped in a sleeper hold, and that is a bad position to be in when a man with arms the size of Brody Steele is clenching at your larynx, ladies and gentlemen, and this is a very bad position to be in, and it looks like Connor Vista is falling asleep here, and it could just be a matter of time before Brody Steele and Bruiser Jacobs are announced your winners here at ASW South. Ascension 2 level up. The arm goes down once, it goes down 3 times. That will be it. Connor Vista, the arm's gone down again. Connor Vista looks to be completely out cold. Oh, wait a minute. Connor Vista somehow digging seriously deep, finding that next level of energy, able to break free, and a jawbreaker very smartly applied to the big man. And now Brody Steele seems to be rocked by that jawbreaker. Obviously, we found a weakness in the monster. Connor Vista has created enough separation. Tag made to Bruiser Jacobs. Tag made to a fresh Joe Dale. Here we go, baby. Joe Dale firing up on both men, knocking down Bruiser Jacobs. Not knocking down Brody Steele, but at least creating some separation. Standing drop kick in the corner. Didn't get all of it, but got enough. Got a lovely drop kick there on Bruiser Jacobs. Ducks the clothesline. Look out. Back suplex. Rock bottom. Delivered with aplomb by Joe Dale. Textbook offense by not your average, and Brody Steele, by the way, not the legal man, breaks up the pinfall attempt. And I guess what the hell is Roger Sears going to say to Brody Steele, imploring these men to try and obey the rules. Double Irish whip here. Bruiser Jacobs and Brody Steele. It looks like he's going to send Bruiser Jacobs in. Joe Dale very smartly sidesteps again. And the monster Brody Steele just crashed into Bruiser Jacobs. Not what they were expecting. And double clothesline for Brody Steele. Obviously not that phased by the malfunction at the junction. I'm not sure how wise that is. Bruiser Jacobs, you better watch yourself, Sergeant. Oh my God. Brody Steele just shot Bruiser Jacobs down. I cannot believe. Wait a minute. Looks like Brody Steele is taking a hike. Brody Steele is going to leave Bruiser Jacobs high and dry, and frankly, no more than he deserves. After that kind of nonsense, well, if you shove a giant, don't expect to get anything in return for your troubles. And meanwhile, first class measure Bruiser Jacobs with a double super kick. Oh boy. But this tag match has very quickly become a handicap match, and let's see just how chirpy Bruiser Jacobs is now that he doesn't have a 6'7" monster in his corner. First class now, sending him up to the second rope. Looks like Joe Dale and Connor Vista have something in mind here. I believe Connor Vista's looking for a superplex. Yes, indeed, going all the way to the top, maybe. Coming off the second rope smartly. Superplex applied. Joe Dale out of absolutely nowhere with a big old splash of Bruiser Jacobs. And Joe Dale is 4-0 inside the ASW South ring.
Connor Vista, Joe Dale.
Joe Dale is 4-0, but how about Connor Vista as well? And I'd like to point out Connor Vista and Joe Dale still completely undefeatable here in ASW South on the main roster proper. A magnificent achievement, and finally some serious retribution here at Level Up for Joe Dale, pinning Bruiser Jacobs. Connor Vista, Joe Dale, first class. Remember that name, because you are looking at the future of tag team professional wrestling in Great Britain today. Only big things on the horizon, but what in God's name is Bruiser Jacobs going to do in response to this? I shudder to think, but on this night, ladies and gentlemen, it's all high fives and it's all glory for first class.
It's not just a name, is it? They really are first class. Watch out for this tag team combination in 2026. Joe Dale, Connor Vista.
And over the whole world. Oh, what the fuck? Okay. You want some words from me, huh? Huh? You want some words from me? I tell you what. Follow me. You want to know what's next for Bruiser Jacobs? I tell you what's next for Bruiser Jacobs. I am done playing by the rules. I am done trying to win the right way around here. Every single member of the ASW South roster, put yourselves on notice. Bruiser Jacobs is coming for you.